Let's go.
What's up, guys? We are on episode, what, Nathan? Six?
Yep.
Of the Disciple Me Now podcast. It has been incredible. And last week we said that we were going to have a 5-part series, but we actually decided we're going to make it into 6 parts.
Yeah.
Because there's so much content, so many good things for each stage that we want to make sure everybody gets, right?
Yep.
So we're super excited about the segment that is starting this podcast off because we realized that, man, this is really needed sometimes for some youth pastors, for some youth leaders, maybe, from whatever.
I was sharing this with Jackson.
Yeah,
about students.
Because we were trying to come up with an opening segment, and he was like, look at this.
And basically, we got a lot of people who might need a little bit of help changing the habits of their mouth.
Verbiage, as people would say, that we use.
So if you are prone to cussing, it just slips right out. Here's something to replace that slip with.
First, prayer. Second, there's a list that we have right here.
So if you feeling miffed.
I don't even know what that means,
I don't
but
either.
it sounds like I don't like it.
Yup. If you don't like something, here's what you can say.
Bleep.
Aw, shucks.
And where's one?
Jeepers.
Krebs.
Booger.
And doo-doo.
What about if I'm feeling exasperated?
Oh, dude, our associate pastor used to say this all the time. Not Pastor Calvin, but Pastor Butler.
Yeah.
You jackwagon.
Okay.
That's what he would call us.
You might say, fiddlesticks.
Or crud muffin.
Or if you're just not having it, you could say...
Yeah, if you're like, your disciple is just like ticking you off.
Great googly moogly.
You're like, shut your pie hole. I'm going to start using that.
What the what?
What the what?
What the what?
I like that.
That is a pretty good one,
I say
actually.
what the mess a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
You could say, son of a nutcracker.
Yeah, and this is, you said what? Like something approved. Oh, field tested and mother approved.
Yeah,
all right?
mother approved.
So use it, take it, teach it to your people because we can't, we want to keep our verbiage clean like it talks about in, where was it? Ephesians 4 or something like that?
Yeah,
Ephesians
we'll try to get that in the show notes for you so you can see all of them.
There you go. But man, we are excited about this this episode.
Oh, so excited.
Because we are actually going to be talking about the very first stage that every single person starts at.
Yeah.
I started at this. You started at this. No matter who you're discipling, they started at this. And there's a lot of people that maybe we're trying to reach and disciple that are at this stage right this moment. And it can be frustrating to navigate through this stage. And I think the reason why a lot of times it's frustrating is because we try to get people or students or whoever we're discipling past this stage so quickly.
Yeah.
We want it to be like, just snapped right there.
Yeah.
We just got to get them so that we can start discipling. But no. We can start discipling at this stage, and it's the spiritually dead stage.
So this is before they even believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
Before they know who Jesus is, before they have a relationship with him, they're spiritually dead in their sin.
We've all been there.
But you can actually disciple someone even before they believe in Jesus.
And some indicators of whether or not your student or your person, I should say, whoever's listening to this, is at this stage.
Yeah. So something they might say, I'm a good person.
Yeah.
Or they might say, everyone does bad stuff. I'm not as bad as everybody else.
Yeah. Or, hey, church is cool, but it's really not like something I need.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are spiritually dead that I've been talking to, I pray for, I have relationship with, and some key indicators I feel are, man, maybe they're cold towards God.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want or need God necessarily, or they think they don't need God necessarily. They're like, whatever. An indicator is not, do they go to church? Because there's a lot of spiritually dead people that are going to church. There's a lot more probably of spiritually dead teens, in our context, like that they're at church. They're coming maybe every week.
Yeah.
But they are spiritually dead still. What are some other indicators you would say?
Yeah. So these are people who are living out of their feelings.
Okay.
They are lost and they're unaware of it. They don't even realize they're lost.
Yeah.
And so they're searching for some meaning, but they also haven't found that meaning in life.
Yeah, they don't have a desire towards God, towards life change. Like, why do I need my life to change?
Yeah,
right?
And they probably feel broken, and they don't they don't have any way out of that brokenness.
Yeah. So these are all indicators that you can be like, oh my gosh, I thought my person, my disciple was saved. I was just running up against a wall. Maybe they're spiritually dead,
Yeah.
and you've been ministering to them at the wrong phase. So we really
Yeah.
want to unpack this a little bit because Nathan, you were saying this, in the conversation we had just before the podcast, even like this is one of the biggest ways or the areas that the church pours its money, its
Yeah.
resources, its time into. Yet we kind of just on the discipleship stage, we kind of just zoom past it.
Yeah, if you were to ask a pastor about like the purpose of the Sunday gathering, they might say lots of things, but one of the things they almost assuredly will say is that they're trying to reach lost souls.
Yeah.
They're trying to bring people into the body of Christ and present them with the gospel.
Yeah.
And so much of our church world in America revolves around this Sunday morning experience that the goal is to bring lost people into a place where they know Jesus.
Yeah. And I think it's not just a one-time thing, but this, and in our American minds, it can feel like, oh, this is just, we just got to get them past this spiritually dead stage,
Yeah.
and then we can really start discipling them. But it's actually a process. Like you brought up a crazy perspective that like blew my mind of like missionaries
Yeah.
that are giving their entire lives for people that might never leave this stage or they'll never leave this stage.
Especially like missionaries in a Middle Eastern context. If you talk to them who've been giving 20, 30 years of their whole life into this context, and they're celebrating over like 5 salvations. Like they're
30
giving
years.
so much of their life for this stage right here where someone is spiritually dead. And yeah, we can look at those 5 salvations and celebrate with them. But also, they're not just looking at those 5 salvations. They're looking at people who they have been discipling for years, who might not even have come to a moment in their life yet where they are giving their life to Jesus. But those people have been on a journey of a hard heart becoming soft and becoming more and more willing and open and interested in knowing God.
Which brings us to like a next part of this show is like, what are some growth areas, some pathways of growth or goals, whatever we want to call them, for somebody in this stage, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not just, well, bring them on a Sunday, get them to raise their hand, and boom, we're good.
Yeah.
For some people, it might be. But for others, it is a process. This
Yeah.
is not just a step, but it's a process. So what could that look like? What are some goals for somebody that's at this stage, that's spiritually dead?
The big goal is that they need to know the truth about Jesus.
Come on.
And his work to cover their sin and save their life. Right?
Yes.
That's the big goal, but it's more than about them making a decision, making a verbal commitment. There's a lot of things that go into that and help make that decision to follow Jesus, help make that happen, right? So I think for me, in my perspective, it's a lot about showing them authenticity, showing them truth and love in the way that you act and share your life with them.
Okay, come on. So like, I put just growth goals, I think always, and maybe it's the pastor in me or whatever, but I mean, we want them to eventually, and you said this, to be born again. We want them to get there.
Yeah.
Sometimes we see it, sometimes we won't, but we want to push them closer. I don't want to say push. We want to reveal, we want to help, we want to encourage them, and even to bring out, I guess, curiosity and desire for them to want to know more. To want to hunger for more, to want to step out of their boat, to follow this man that they don't really know anything about, but they see us, they've heard us.
Yeah, we want them to have a saving relationship with Jesus, but I think the key is we need to show them that reality lived out in our own life.
Yeah.
Okay?
So ways to minister to somebody in this stage isn't just preaching to them, isn't just I said this before, like, hey, you ready to give your life to God yet? Like, you
Yeah.
know, like, hey, we're just trying to get you past this.
Yeah.
No, that's not the way. I think one thing I wrote down was we want to build trust and relationship as strong as we can. I think about Jesus with Zacchaeus. He calls Zacchaeus down. Zacchaeus obviously is spiritually dead. He doesn't know Jesus. He was curious, but he doesn't know him. And Jesus goes and eats with him first.
Yeah.
And he builds a relationship with him, right?
Let's say you have a friend who doesn't know Jesus, okay?
Or a student,
Or a student, anyone. You can disciple them by showing them love in a way that's sacrificially distinct from other people in their life, okay? You can talk to them about your life in a way that highlights what God has done and what God is doing, okay?
Yeah, I think like just ways. These are practical ways we're talking about. Asking pointed and intentional questions.
Yeah.
Creating spiritual conversations and exposure for them.
Yeah.
For the disciple, for the person that is spiritually dead.
Yeah.
Exposing them to the love of God, exposing them to the truth of God's word, exposing them to how God is working in your life, exposing them to Jesus is, I think, the goal, but also the way that we minister to them.
Yeah, so often we think of ministering to people on this stage as one or the other side of a spectrum. Okay?
Yeah.
We think about either I need to talk to them and have this spiritually super deep conversation where I'm telling them about the weight of their sin and how much God loves them
Preaching the
and
gospel
how you
every
need
time.
forgiveness. Yeah. And like you think, oh, if I didn't preach the gospel to them, I missed my moment. Okay.
Yeah.
That's one side of the spectrum. The other side of the spectrum is, oh, preach the gospel, but when necessary, use words. So I'm not actually gonna have to say anything. I just show them like love, like I give them a sack lunch or something.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So those are two sides of the spectrum.
One is extreme, one can be a cop-out.
Yeah. And I think there's a middle ground.
Come on.
Okay. I think that you should be consciously aware of what God is doing in your life and be open to sharing that with the person.
Yeah.
Okay. Be consciously aware that like right now it's snowing outside and it's freezing cold and people don't have heat. People don't have electricity. Well, right now at my house, our power hasn't gone off yet. And that is the grace of God over my life and God taking care of me.
Yeah.
And I can tell someone about, my power hasn't gone off and I can leave it at that. Or I can share how, to me, that's a reflection of God providing for me and taking care of me.
Yeah, I think that is huge. If we can figure out a way, and for those of you who are ministering and discipling people that are at this stage, man, it might get frustrating, discouraging, hard, difficult, but understand to not just see have they made the jump from death to life, even though that is the ultimate goal, but have they made the jump from a hardened heart to a more soft heart?
Yeah.
Have they made the goal from no curiosity at all to they are curious and asking questions now? To not seeking to they're starting to seek. Mm-hmm. See those things and count them as wins and understand that this step or this stage isn't always a step. It's a process sometimes. Yeah. And we're here to help them navigate through that. And hopefully the prayer is, yes, obviously that they would take the step, but discipleship can happen in this stage alone.
Yeah, if you listen to other people talk about this stage, other church leaders and other maybe people who do discipleship podcasts, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that other people talk about is they call this stage come and see. Now, the reason for that is in the beginning of the Gospel of John chapter 1, Jesus has his first interaction with some disciples. Now, they're disciples of John the Baptist, okay? And so this is John chapter 1, verse 35. It says that John the Baptist is standing with two of his disciples, and he looks and he sees Jesus walking by, and he says, "Behold, the Lamb of God." Now, these two disciples hear him say this, and they follow Jesus, and Jesus turns around and sees them following, and he says, "What are you seeking?" And they say, "Teacher, where are you staying?" And Jesus tells them, "Come, and you will see." And so this stage, a lot of people talk about as the come and see stage, where you're just inviting people to come and see your life, see how you're following Jesus. You don't need to have this like grandiose moment of revolutionizing their life with like a sermon. You're just sharing your life with them and sharing the reality of you following Jesus.
And as you do that, there will be opportunities that come to ask questions, to give insight, to share testimonies, to all of these things, which will begin to work in their heart. So I want to say be encouraged, okay? This is just the first of five other
stages.
ones that we're going to be talking about. But this is so important that, yes, we have to minister to people at this stage, or what are we doing?
Yeah.
We're just rediscipling people. We have to see people come to life and then continue that discipleship process. Not start it, but we're starting it when they're spiritually dead and then continuing it.
Yep, love it.
So, hey, we have a resource that we're going to talk about really, really quick that we've kind of been loosely basing all of this off of, and we're going to put it in our Instagram. But Nathan, tell us.
Yeah, one of the key things that have helped me in my process of learning about discipleship and discipling others has been this book called Discipleship. Talked about it a little bit last week. But one of the parts of this book presents something that we call the Discipleship Wheel.
Yeah.
Now, we'll try to put that in the show notes. We'll try to put it on a screen in YouTube. So if you're
On our
listening on
Instagram,
Spotify,
follow us on Instagram at Disciple Me Now.
Yep, it'll be on Instagram.
Plug.
If you're on Spotify, go to YouTube. You can see the Discipleship Wheel.
Boom.
Now, what this wheel does, basically, it has all of the 5 stages of spiritual growth going around this wheel, okay? And so at each stage, it will tell you what are indicators and what are ways that you can minister to someone at that stage. And basically how I use this is if I'm leading a small group of students or a small group of people, I will write all their names down on little pieces of paper, and I will put them on this
On
wheel.
the wheel. And then show them. No, I'm kidding.
No, I don't show them. But what it does, it helps me.
Just kidding.
It gives me like a snapshot of where are the group of people that I'm ministering to, where are they in this process of growth, so I can shape our small group time in a way that helps them grow.
Yeah.
Or even you can
That's
take
good.
one person and put them on the wheel so you know how to minister to them. You could even take the wheel and give them a blank wheel and have them put themselves on the wheel. Now, they might put
might be
themselves
wrong.
higher. Yeah, they might put
totally
themselves
wrong.
higher than they actually are.
Most likely.
But it does help them now have goals in their mind of how they can grow.
Yeah. So, man, do that. It's a way to make a plan for your disciple. Because like we always say, man, we really, truly want to help pastors, leaders, whoever, and people make disciples that make disciples. So we want to say thank you so much for listening like you have been. If you've been enjoying the content, please make sure that you like us, you subscribe to us, you share us, tell people about us, hit that bell so you can get notifications. We are so grateful for all of our listeners. And if you're willing to share the word, man, we are just so thankful for that. But thank you so much again for listening. We hope that if you are discipling somebody that's spiritually dead, that, man, this has helped you. We got 4 more stages to talk about, so stay tuned. We will see you next Sunday at 1 p.m.
Thanks, guys.